Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Brian Barber from Bigfoot's Barbershop, yes. Stopping into the Fox Den once again tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. We do have a good one cooking up in the oven, yet please allow me to feed. Much better. I was very parched and depleted of nutrients. Now that I can feel my power sources oozing through my veins and the shackles have been released, it is now time for Brian Barber and myself to take a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. We have Brian Barber from Bigfoot's Barbershop kicking back around in the Fox Den. And as previously stated, he is a weekly host and does have a playlist like everybody else. And we'll have more of his episodes up soon because guess what? I should be within the next week caught up. And most likely by the time you hear this episode, I shall be caught up. But Brian, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Locked and loaded and ready to roll.
This is excellent. So how you been in general, man? Hanging in there?
We're doing good. The health is improving every day. Back to work on a full schedule. Got a few workouts in. Things are going good.
This is good, man. Excellent. It's always good to hear health is a plus because to my audience, always make sure to take care of yourselves. And if you do feel like you're leaking a little bit of oil, well, go get it fixed because there does become a point in time where duct tape and super glue or gorilla glue doesn't really work to put us back together again. So
No, get that gasket fixed right.
exactly. So tonight, man, I want to blow your mind potentially, and also hopefully the minds of my audience. And this is excellent because at some point in time, I was going to cover this keyword some point in time. And well, I would much rather cover it with you to update your experience and knowledge on the topic as well as my audience. So it helps everybody instead of me just sitting here playing in my own pool and reading it to myself.
Well, I appreciate you sharing the pool because it's awful hot here in Michigan. So, plus, anytime I can learn, I love that. And plus, doing live reaction stuff is, I always enjoy hearing that too.
I can only imagine how hot it is up there because, yes, it is definitely pretty humid up here. And to my audience, you did hear that Brian is in Michigan, aka the infamous Dogman of Michigan territory. Okay. And yes, he's spoken about his family's encounter on a few episodes. So I do encourage everyone to check that out. One of them is aired already, and within the next few days, the other one will be aired. So he is right in the area of Werewolf Square. So, yes. He is in the stomping grounds of the Michigan Dogman. But tonight, man, as stated, well, I got some stuff that's pretty interesting, and I would like to potentially start off in the older versions of areas where some of these strange things that, in my opinion, are related to Dogman. And the first one, well, skeletons with missing hands and feet found under Goring's bunker. Wait, what? Yes, April 30th, 2024, 9:44 a.m. The Telegraph reports. Yes, a German and Polish archaeologist makes the discovery while digging underneath the wolf's lair in Poland, a complex area of bunkers, ruins that once served as a forest hidden headquarters for the devil himself, Adolf Hitler's inner circle. Underneath a wooden floor that was found in Marcel's house, about 10 centimeters below the ground, the archaeologists find the remains of human skulls. Further digging, they find 5 skeletons, 3 adults, a teenager, and a baby. All 5 bodies were missing their hands and their feet, prompting Polish prosecutors to launch a probe into whether they were victims of Nazi human experimentation and war crimes. Evacuators found no trace of clothing or jewelry, suggesting the victims' bodies were looted before.
And we know Hitler had a history with his experimentation of trying to do some crossbreeding.
Exactly, right? So, again, right there, that's a really interesting one because it brings a little bit more credence to, as you just stated, the occult and the experimentations of Hitler trying to remove the heads of animals and put them on the bodies of humans and remove the brains from humans into animals, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, boom. All right, now we head up to my neck of the woods. Yes, we're up in Maine now. Okay, so New Center, Maine, May 6th, 2019. And I actually got a chance to speak to the family, and I know somebody that worked at Lewiston's Medical Center that verified this as well. But Lisbon, Maine, also Nesson covered this. Police in Lisbon say a dog like animal leapt out of the woods and attacked a family walking their St. Bernard on a popular trail. The incident was reported to police around 8:30 p.m. Saturday, about 2 hours after the family of 3 showed up with bite wounds all over their body at a local hospital. Lewiston Police Chief Mark Hagan says the family, a man and a woman and their 11-year-old girl, were walking on the paper trail somewhere south of the Big Dipper ice cream shop when a huge dog-like or maybe coyote-like creature came lunging out of the woods and bit the young girl on the leg and trying to drag her off. The woman immediately tried to intervene, in which this creature then bit her hand violently and biting through a finger down to the bone and taking off the end of another finger.
Well, it doesn't sound like you were too far off with the lunging the way it bit. So this was 2019.
Yes.
How big did they give an idea how big it was? Was it bigger than the St. Bernard or?
Put it this way, the father said, unfortunately, because the dog, yeah, it's a Saint Bernard. So as this happened immediately, the Saint Bernard, boom, went off in the other direction, pulled him. He tripped and fell, basically, and the mother lunged at the daughter. The creature attacked him. The father stands back up after regaining his composure, runs over, and then the dog, or creature, or whatever, started attacking him. And then there was another group of people on the trail coming down from a distance away who started seeing the interaction and also started screaming out, and then the creature just ran back off into the forest.
So it sounds like if those people hadn't come along, this could have ended a whole lot worse than. And coyote or wolf like doesn't necessarily eliminate a hyena like if they don't know what a hyena is.
100%. And keep in mind, it's also the chief, so he's gonna watch a little bit what he had to say. And the people I did speak to, because as stated, I did get a chance to speak to them, but their daughter is completely traumatized, so she doesn't even like to go outside anymore. And yeah, it was a large animal. It, to them, it looked like nothing they had ever seen before. It was jet black, which is just really interesting. Also, they were tested for rabies and all these things, and they didn't have any of that. So whatever attacked them wasn't a rabid either. So
And the time of day was
8:30 p.m. was when it was reported. So give or take, probably around. They said it was 2 hours after the incident. So yeah, it would have been 6:30 p.m. and August. So yeah, still plenty of sunlight out because it doesn't really get dark till around 8:30 p.m. So yeah, definitely a good early evening, plenty of sunlight type encounter. Where obviously this thing had no fear of coming right out in direct sunlight.
Yeah, you're not going to misidentify something that's that close.
No, that's broad. I mean, because broad daylight's afternoon, but this was plenty of light. I live in
yeah.
Maine, like I said, and it's not even August yet, and it stays light till 8:45. So
yeah, when we hit August, it's 10 o'clock before the sun's completely down.
yes, exactly. So like you said, there is no
8:30.
misidentification here.
No.
Yes. Yeah, that's a pretty gnarly one. And
yeah, that'll rattle your cage. Poor daughter.
yeah, completely mortified. Now we got another one up in my neck of woods. We have this deceased beast, the marauding hybrid mutant. Residents of Androscoggin County, Maine are wondering if an animal found deceased over the weekend may be the mysterious creature that has been mauling dogs, livestock, and also trying to lure residents out of their yards and into the forest for the past half a generation. Yeah, I went up there, and this deceased animal was, according to locals, a farm feral dog, unfortunately, that had, yes, obviously taken some people's livestock, but was hit by a car and was deceased. It was not a what people were seeing. What people were seeing were a mixture of like hyena type like creatures and also something that looked like a raccoon type like werewolf out of the howling. So Michelle O'Donnell of Turner spotted the animal near her yard about a week before it was deceased, and she said this was not the hybrid mutant of something she had been seeing. What she saw was evil, yes, very evil looking, and they had a horrible stench that I can never forget. She said it reeked of fox or dog urine, wet dog, and decay. She told the Sun Journal of Lewiston, "We locked eyes the first time I saw this creature for a few seconds, and then it bolted off in a strange mannerism where it was running quadrupedally and bipedally. I've lived in Maine my whole life, and I've never seen anything like this. And for the past 15 years, residents all around the area, including Androscoggin County, and friends of mine have reported seeing and hearing mysterious animals with chilling, monstrous, human-like cries and calls and eyes that glow in the night. These animals have been blamed for attacking and causing the unalived of a Doberman Pinscher and a Rottweiler that were 2 to 3 years old, so very healthy dogs in the past couple of years. People from Litchfield, Sabattis, Green, Turner, Lewiston, and Auburn have all come forward recently to speak of a mysterious monster-like creature or creatures that roam the woods. Nobody seems to know what it is, and theories have ranged from a hyena, a dingo, a fisher, a coy dog, an offspring, a cave hyena, a short-faced bear, a Dinopithecus, or even a werewolf.
Insane. What's running through my mind is the fact that it ran bipedally and quadruped. Because, I worked for a gentleman and we raised wolf hybrids for, I worked for him for 5 years. He'd been doing it his whole life. I never saw one of the wolf hybrids take off on 2 feet for anything.
Right?
Yes. And I've seen him chase some stuff down, but I never saw him jump on 2 feet to get a little faster trying to do it.
1000%. And keep in mind, like I said, I live in Gorham, okay, and Turner isn't that far away. I actually personally have spoken to some of these individuals too. Yes, what that woman just said, I didn't directly speak to her, but that's pretty much the equation that was also reiterated to me by other people. Like I spoke to one gentleman that woke up in the middle of the night and his Doberman Pinscher was sounding like it was in a brawl. He ran outside. Couldn't really see anything. She seemed like she was fine. She was 65 pounds. She went back in, woke up again. Terrible screaming, went outside. She was in the back of her doghouse, basically shredded, barely still alive. And he saw what looked like, I said, a massive raccoon looking like werewolf. He had to put his dog down. The following day was coming home around 2 or 3 in the morning, saw that same creature looking under his door, basically trying to get into his cabin. Turned on his high beams and started honking. The thing ran off, and he noticed it ran into some strange looking brush that ended up being a burrow. So the following day, he took his lawnmower and destroyed the area. So, like I said, I went up there personally and spoke to a bunch of these people. That's some pretty gnarly stuff. And now we are going to move to Knoxville, Tennessee, and we might be back up to Maine, but I'm not sure. I do apologize. Some of these are out of geography order, but we are getting the point across. All right. So this occurred August 3rd, 2021, around 2:25 p.m. And this was again covered by WVLT8 out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Multiple animal-induced injuries made a man of Coach County, Tennessee, unalived. That's not the word they use, but that's the word I have to use. The autopsy revealed multiple animal-induced injuries, including punctures, lacerations, contusions, torn veins, and ripped off flesh, which caused the unalived of 52-year-old Tony Aarons, according to an autopsy report, which we actually do have the autopsy on this gentleman. And he had passed from multiple severe animal induced injuries that were unable to be matched up with known animal type predation of the area. His body was found near his property on April 1st after he was unresponsive to calls and people trying to reach out to him. And when they found him, he was still alive but unresponsive. And then he passed. The autopsy revealed that the injuries to his chest and his arms were the reason for his passing. And also on the property, they found strange type tracks that were really large and unable to be identified. And he had unidentified paw marks, scratch marks with blood found on the ground near his body and on his body.
Now, I'm not a coroner or anything, but I would imagine the trauma it would take to put someone permanently to sleep would have to be pretty traumatic if it was done by chest and arms.
Yes, 100%, man. It was vicious. It had to have been, like you said.
And it had to have
Yes.
been prolonged.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, an animal, it's not like it happened instantly.
No, unfortunately, you'd like to think for him it would have, but no, it sounds like it was a very vicious incident. And whenever the officials did show up, he was still with them, not coherent. But yeah, it was.
And for the animal to have that kind of endurance to keep somebody down, I don't know how big the guy was, but and
He
then
was around my size, nothing too like big, 6'1", like 162 or 170, but still, a decent enough where you should be able to, yeah, like you said, be able to at least defend yourself versus something remotely, you would think.
yeah, at least to the point where you would survive getting to so it was on his property. I don't know how far it was from his house or a phone, but if it was the fact he was found and that damage was that way instead of like
The room he was found in was completely barricaded. So there was the tracks outside and the blood and all that. And then in the house is where he was found on the floor, blood and the strange paw mark or claw marks across him. Yeah.
yeah, and why would you barricade if it was just a normal animal?
Good question, brother. And keep in mind, this is a news outlet. So, they're obviously going to be very selective as to how they're reporting it as well. So, yes, keep in mind the more aspects as to, like I said, we have the autopsy. It's up on the website. Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
So are these things that you're finding all at once that are just surfacing, or is it because you're digging and they were referred?
All right. So Jody wanted to make sure, because things get scrubbed, he had sent me on a mission to make sure anytime I came across something that didn't really fall into the lines of normal activity, to make sure to clip it and document it. So that way we had it on the website and also just in general. So if it did get scrubbed, we already have it.
Yeah, because that's pretty amazing. And I sure haven't heard about anything like that up here. Normally something like that would make national news. I mean, look at your off-putting, occasional Bigfoot report. How many people know about the one in Colorado with the train incident? Yet this one's completely swept under the rug, other than what you were able to find.
And what's going to blow your mind is we still have half of an episode, and I got at least 1, 2, 3, 9 more here for you, man. So, all right, we are going to travel up to Canada, and this happened on March 27th, 2024, around 9:53 a.m. A child is airlifted after a severe attack by a canine-like creature that looked like a mix of a German Shepherd and a Husky near Bancroft, Ontario. A child needed to be airlifted immediately to a hospital following what police are currently calling a brutal attack by an aggressive canine type like animal near the town of Bancroft, Ontario on Tuesday afternoon. Bancroft OPP on Wednesday morning issued a warning about the animal. Please stay inside and be careful. There was an unprovoked attack on an 11-year-old child in the area of Bradshaw Road, about 17 kilometers southeast of the town. Police did not release a victim's name or state where the child was attacked at the time. Devenish says it's not yet known whether the child was alone or with others. OPP says the animal is described as a jet black, maybe dark gray, smoky colored, similar to a German Shepherd or a Husky, and was reported to be running in a strange bipedal quadrupedal mannerism. Police say people should use caution in the area of the report and do not approach this animal.
There's that thread with the bipedal and quadrupedal run.
Right? Strange. And again, these are news outlets. So, like I said, they're not going to obviously, they're going to be selective as to what they're saying. And this is very mind boggling right here. And you've definitely heard of this. We are heading back down south. We are going to head to the haunting area of North Carolina, where unfortunately, back in August 2019, Brenda Hamilton was out taking a jog early in the morning when she was mauled tremendously by unknown animals or an animal near the coastal area of North Carolina. It's been now 6 months since she was out walking her dogs in Bayfort County when she was doomed by some sort of strange, brutal deceasing. No one really knows officially what it was that had attacked her, but rumors are spreading that there are strange creatures lurking in the forest. Jessica Jones and I actually dived into this as well, and we will talk about this a little bit more on other episodes, but we potentially think this could have been a Black Panther or a large cat attack because of the mannerisms and the behaviors as to what happened. But yes, that's a messed up one too.
Ooh, I look forward to hearing the deep dive.
Yes, they don't really know too much as to what could it be because they did find some DNA evidence, but they included that it was not canine or feline in nature. It remained unknown. All right, we are going to again now dive down to Kentucky. This was August 12th, 2020. State police say 13-year-old Corey Godsley was mauled by a pack of quote unquote wild dogs. The problem is, people in the area that I did speak to said that the wild dogs that they did find in this abandoned cavern were super nice, and there was no signs of any sort of struggle or predation on anything. When searchers approached the area, they were super nice dogs. And during the investigation, state police say that these multiple dogs that were found in an old mine site near Corey's body were not the ones to be blamed for the reasoning. Yet now they have removed the dogs, who were extremely friendly, and put them in the Kentucky River Animal Shelter, where DNA was ran on the animals and there was no connection to Corey's attack. Corey was found completely deceased, ripped to shreds, and was dragged deep off into the forest from his house.
Was that the kid who was actually dragged uphill?
Yes.
So, and they proved that none of those dogs were big enough to do that, if I remember right.
Yes, and none of the dogs had DNA on them anyhow.
Yeah, I have a friend who was down there and is in the process of deep diving that, and I believe he has a copy of the autopsy and is having a friend of his that's a coroner look at it because he said there's a lot on there that does not make sense.
100%, man. So we're going to just keep on getting darker here. We're going to roll back up to Canada right now. And this occurred April 30th, 2009. Okay. Keep in mind, there has never been any sort of documented human predation by coyotes, especially only two of them. This involved a young, rising Canadian folk singer by the name of Taylor Mitchell. She was 19, and she was on the Skyline Trail in Cape Breton Highlands National Park when she was supposedly attacked by some sort of strange creature. Bird said hikers saw coyotes in the area, so they immediately called 911 after finding the girl. When she was airlifted to a hospital in Halifax, she unfortunately passed away 12 hours later. Mitchell was nominated for her folklore and Canadian music. She loved the woods and animals, etc. Said when the area where she found was occurred, it was a popular and well-traveled area, yet it remains closed. She unfortunately passed away from extreme traumatic injury and flesh removal and blood loss. And yes, it was blamed on two coyotes in the area, but the coyotes again had no sign of human predation.
I remember reading about that one, and that one never did rub me the right way. Like you said, for coyotes, especially only two of them to be that brave and that aggressive and that.
Not going to happen.
No.
Not going to
No
happen
way.
at all, man. Because if you give a coyote a good boot to the face or something, like it's going to not like that. I mean, if there's a pack of them, sure, you're in trouble. But yeah, there's two of them, man. They're not going to be bold enough. They weren't rabid or anything. No way. And they weren't starving either. So
Nope, that one never made sense.
100%. And now we head back down to Tennessee and we actually have the autopsy of this. And recently, again, July 21st, 2021, 9:47 a.m., Tennessee woman 29 is found fatally mauled by a pack of jet black dogs, reported. So many wounds that they could not even count them, and they didn't even know where to begin to try to stop the bleeding. Amber suffered tremendously and fought for her best, but was overcome in a fight to live. Cindy Miller said, a neighbor, about her 29-year-old daughter, Amber Miller. She lived next door to her daughter, apparently. And according to her family, Miller was unalived while in the hospital after she was attacked on June 12th. They worked on her for 6 to 8 hours to try to close all the wounds every day and did everything they could, but there were so many wounds that they couldn't even count them. And basically what had happened is she apparently was heard screaming, and neighbors and such and her mom saw this group of strange, enormous, jet black canine-like creatures come out of the woods and just maul her.
My heart goes out to these families, and to me, that's why I admire the work you're doing and people in other fields like this, is because people should be aware of what's out there. It shouldn't be just under the rug. They need to be aware.
Appreciate you, man. Kind words, and I agree. And now we are going to head to another area of some disturbing stuff, Elixir Springs, Missouri. The Ray County Sheriff's Office is investigating an Amazon driver that was found mauled to a point where he was unalived. Ray County deputies responded to a call about an Amazon truck that had been parked in front of a house on Highway 0 for several hours. When the deputies arrived, they found the driver deceased in the front yard area by a dense patch of woods. Due to the fact of the nature of some of the injuries to the male driver, we cannot confirm or deny what attacked him. The wounds were so traumatic, it looked like some sort of animal just went berserk on him.
And that's what's being told by the news. So imagine how graphic it really is. If they're using the berserk, then yeah.
And it said the office again said that the victim's injuries were consistent of some sort of savage animal attack, and two strange black-looking dog-like creatures were spotted near the scene that appeared to be extremely aggressive.
Oh, that adds a layer of ice into it, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, all these are pretty crazy, man, and we got 5 more here. So yeah, dude, it's absolutely mind-boggling. And now we are going to travel down to Texas, and we are going to dive into the case of what unalived Christopher Whiteley. And what happened is Whiteley set out and he was never found to the area as to where he should have been. It said the next day, friends of Whiteley's filed a missing persons report on the evening that he was no longer coming home from Hood County. Deputies searched the woods between his girlfriend's house and Howell Road. First thing they spotted was Whitley's backpack beneath a cedar tree. Then, about 15 feet away, they spotted Whitley's body in brush. So dense, it was a miracle that they were able to even find him, as if something had purposely dragged him in there. Christopher Allen Whitley never learned how to drive, and he was 28, so he spent a lot of his time walking. They believed on the morning of December 2nd, 2020, he was planning to maybe hitchhike to work around 9 a.m. or walk through this path to say hi to his girlfriend to see if she could bring him in. Well, he never returned. And when they did find him, his entire throat from one ear to the other was torn out with what looked like one massive swipe. At first, they thought potentially it could have been a large cat. Yet, when they brought in Catherine Gwynn, who is a predation specialist and was determined to find the reason of his deceasedness, well, she said at first she thought maybe it could be a large cat when she was coming to the scene, but immediately said it was not because he was standing up when this thing clawed his throat out, and a large cat still wouldn't have been able to do that with one swipe when this man was standing up and also putting his arms in front of him. He was shirtless, even though the weather would have been kind of cold, and he had traumatic animal predation marks all over his body.
No cat.
Definitely not, man. 100% not. We are in Georgetown now, and this occurred 2002 of 19-year-old Rachel Cook, who went missing. She's never been heard from again. She disappeared on January 10th, 2002, after she had gone for a long-distance run around 9:30 a.m. the morning. Her neighbor last saw her about 200 yards away from her house on the Navajo Trail, which is surrounded by dense brush and forest. She had been a member of the Georgetown track team and had a particular route that she liked to run in her parents' neighborhood, which was by the North Lake subdivision, which is off of 3405 in Georgetown, said Williams County Detective Mary Lewis. Several neighbors saw her that morning as she was on her jog, and the last neighbor saw her about 200 yards away from her parents' house near this dense patch of forest and brush, and she was never seen again.
Never found her.
Nope. Something grabbed her and boom, she was gone, bro.
Oof.
We're going to stay down in Texas here. Yeah. And this was updated September 16th, 2017. We have an East Texas oil field worker missing in West Texas. A family has been seeking answers into the disappearance of their family. Christopher Sanders, 40 years old, of Dangerfield, was working in the oil fields near Monahans, Texas, when his family says he reportedly went for a walk on his break and vanished. Sandy Sanders has spent exhausting hours making calls everywhere trying to find Christopher. He was last seen on eastbound I-20, where he had stepped out of his vehicle for a second near an extremely densely forested area. His phone and everything has not been used since, and he has never been found.
Sounds like there's something very bold in Texas. I mean, even a halfway intelligent animal is going to know everything's bigger in Texas and carry, including the pew-pew they carry, you know? So knowing that one's carrying the other, the animal's got to be extremely bold.
Extremely bold. We got three more here before we let you get going, man. And again, we are in Texas, August 8th, 2013. Brandon Lawson arrives at his home in San Angelo, Texas, where he lived with his girlfriend. Lawson called his father about 3 hours from where he lived and told him he wanted to come visit him at 11:54 p.m. He'd be there by early in the morning. About 12:30 a.m., August 9th, Lawson called Kyle and told him he had run out of gas. Kyle is his father, and he had pulled over on U.S. Route 277 between San Angelo and Bronte, Texas. Kyle claimed during the call that these strange creature-like things had been chasing his car from the forest as he had been leaving town. 12:50 a.m., Lawson calls 911, which at a range of a local nursing home area in Texas, he had told the responder he had run out of gas and needed help immediately. During the call, Lawson made several confused and incoherent statements, including, "Yes, I've been pushed away from my car and I'm running in the middle of the field, and there's these strange, I think they're guys, but they also look like animals and they look extremely furry. I don't know. I'm here running towards Abian on both sides of me. Please help me. My truck ran out of gas. There's one near my car still. The guy's chasing me, or these things are chasing me into the woods. Please hurry. Please hurry. Several minutes later at 12:56 a.m., a trucker called 911 to report Lawson's truck was parked in the middle of the road in a hazardous manner. Between 12:50 a.m. and 1:15 a.m., Lawson received and made several calls to his brother, his girlfriend, and his father in an attempt to also get help. Throughout his poor cell phone reception, his calls were broken up and very hard to understand what was going on. 1:19 a.m., all calls to his phone went straight to voicemail, and Lawson has never been seen again.
Something bad happened there. That one's goosebumps all over it.
Yeah.
With 3 creatures chasing you, I mean, how much more description do you need?
Well, yeah, help me. Exactly, right? And now we head out to California, and this actually happened not even a month ago. Wolf hybrids have gone feral, roaming in Northern California. Officials say Shingleton, California, a pack of wolf-like canines gone feral or on the loose in Shingleton area in Northern California. Please be extremely aware and safe of these animals. They have been trying to take people's pets, livestock, and lure people out. The department said it is aware of these 6 strange animals that remain unable to be captured, and they are actively working on an attempt to catch them. Were first notified of the hybrids last week when the pack was roaming the area and had unalived several dogs.
More to that. Like, it's kind of funny that I mentioned before the show, I worked for a guy who raised them and had one of my own for 12 years, and them luring people out isn't something.
No, and any dog
see.
or canine, I mean, yes, animals are smart, but any tracker could, yes, catch a pack of wolves, okay? And the fact that they're unable to catch these things, they're not normal canines. I mean, any animal can be caught with enough time.
No, you might not catch them with the same trap twice, but you're going to catch them the first time.
Yes, exactly. 100%, my friend. And now this last one we are going to dive in, we are going to Duluth, Minnesota, okay? And we have a case of Jordan Grider, okay? And he was in the Bondary Waters area when he was, quote unquote, devoured by wolves. October 2018. As stated, this gentleman goes out for an area in Ely, and he's found several months later after the snow has fallen down, and his campsite is absolutely something out of a horror scene. They said he was found in an extremely isolated area, and almost 2 years after he had gone out is when he was found. And in his area, when they did find him, he was nowhere to be found, obviously, at all, but his entire tent was covered in old soaked blood, as well as his sleeping bag. And they don't know if he had cut himself or such, but what had happened is they said he was attacked by wolves because it was a extremely hard winter is what the officials were saying, but his mother said it's no way wolves attacked and had done this to her son. And yes, this is where it stands.
He was the kid who liked to go hiking for months at a time and be alone, right?
Yes.
I remember that because then when they tried to pull the wolf theory, his hammock was still intact, like he had been lifted out of it.
Yeah, dude.
So that kind of fell through right there for me.
All of it, man. That's the last one I have right there. I wanted to cover all those on my episodes eventually, but instead of having to sit there and just read them out, I figured it would be good to sit down and cover them with you, man. And those are just the ones that we've been able to clip and get our hands on. So
yeah, that's amazing stuff, and people need to know about this stuff. Especially the kid that one, and then the one where the kid ran out of gas.
All those, man, right? The kid running out of his gas, the guy getting his neck clipped out. I mean, where is it? The guy barricading himself. I mean, where isn't it insane? The person in Lisbon being attacked by a strange creature in broad daylight. This woman being ripped to pieces by 3 strange dogs. Amazon driver in the day. Like, I don't know, man. There, like you said, there's definitely some really gnarly stuff going on, and it is important just to get it out there. And I do encourage everyone. All those news articles are out there. I would show those, but technically I just need to be careful with things. I don't own those news articles, okay? So I don't really know how the fair use and copyright issues go, but every one of the instances that Brian and I spoke about, you can look them up. You can Google them. They're all there. They're on our website, the North American Dogman Project.com. So
Yeah, those are, and that's what the news is reporting. We all know the news is barely going to scrape the top of what really happened.
yes, unless you got somebody like Linda Godfrey, someone with them trying to put it out as much as possible, but still, even to that, you're going to have somebody above them that is going to be editing the Christmas trees out of what they submitted before they're even allowing that. Yes, so I mean, like you said, those are news outlets, and it's still painting a pretty grim picture. So now imagine the actual real things that are occurring, man. So it's always great to get you to pop in the Fox Den and hang out for these episodes of Star Fox Radio, Midnight Lycanthropy. I do enjoy picking your mind and updating and sharing information and trying to figure out what the heck's happening, man.
Well, I enjoy the learning process and the awareness because, we both know I like to go out in the field. So I need to know about that stuff.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, and share it. Feed the algorithm. And I will see you on the next one.